Poland is well known for being stuck between great powers and being carved up by them. But just how often was Poland partitioned? In this video, we go over every Polish partition, starting with in 1774, the Russo-Turkish War concluded with a Russian victory. This victory strengthened Russia, but it also threatened Austrian interests in the Balkans, particularly in Moldavia and Wallachia. The Austrians started considering a war against Russia to restore the balance of power in the region. Prussia, wanting to avoid a war, proposed a diplomatic solution. Poland, or the Polish Lithuania Commonwealth at the time, had recently been devastated by civil war and had been under Russian influence for some time. It was in no position to fight against the three major powers. Prussia proposed a partition of Poland that was aimed at maintaining the balance of power in the region, and eventually the three powers agreed on the partition. In 1772, the three nations entered the regions decided upon, and they were met with little resistance. Poland appealed to Western Europe for help, in which they reacted with the utmost indifference. With no outside help coming, Poland had no choice and was forced to give away its lands. Prussia gained these territories in the north, allowing them to connect their empire together. Austria gained the most economically rich lands to the south, and Russia gained the largest chunk of land to the east. Altogether, Poland lost around 30% of its territory and a third of its population. In 1790, the Commonwealth entered an alliance with Prussia, hoping to find an ally while it underwent a series of reforms. In 1791, Poland adopted the May Constitution, which curtailed the power of the nobility, established the three branches of government, and improved the lives of peasants. The constitution was met with hostility from Poland's surrounding neighbors, as well as the Polish nobles, who formed the Targowica Confederation. The confederation invited the Russians to help overturn the constitution, in which the Russians gladly agreed. Russia invaded Poland once again, and the Poles turned to their Prussian allies for help. However, Prussia declined and abandoned their Polish allies. The war ended in merely 3 months, as the Polish king would join the confederation and called for a ceasefire, hoping for a diplomatic solution. His hopes were soon dashed, as Russia was able to coerce and bribe Polish officials into accepting Russian demands. Prussia also demanded lands for their role in abandoning Poland as an ally. Russia agreed to Prussian demands, and the two nations forced Poland to give up its territories and revoke the reforms of the constitution. Poland lost an incredible amount of land, losing 250,000 square kilometers to the Russians and 58,000 to the Prussians. The Targowica Confederation were seen as traitors to their country, and Poland would continue to exist as a Prussian puppet state. Following the second partition, Poland had been betrayed by its nobility and humiliated on the world stage. The Polish people were outraged by Russia and Prussia, and soon the outrage turned into the forms of riots and uprisings. Polish patriot Tadeusz Kościuszko took control of the army and declared an uprising against Poland's enemies. Kościuszko was an accomplished general who had fought in the American Revolution and the War of the Second Partition. Despite an initial success, his uprising was unfortunately crushed, and Prussia, Russia, and Austria carved up the remains of the once great empire, and Poland ceased to exist as a state. 12 years after the Third Partition, Napoleon and the French Empire were sweeping throughout Europe. The Poles, eager to fight against the ones that had destroyed their nation, joined Napoleon in his wars against Prussia. In return, Napoleon established the Duchy of Warsaw, a Polish client state of the French Empire. The Poles would join Napoleon in his war against Russia, and we all know how that ended. They lost. At the Congress of Vienna, the duchy would be split into 3. The Grand Duchy of Poznan was given to Prussia, the Congress Kingdom of Poland to Russia, and the Free City of Krakow, a city republic that would eventually be annexed by Austria. A Polish nation would not exist until the end of World War I. 21 years after regaining independence, the Poles would suffer through arguably the most well-known partition of Poland. After signing the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact, the German Reich and the Soviet Union would invade and split Poland in 1939, starting the Second World War. And as you know, Germany lost, and the Poles would regain the nation, albeit as a Soviet puppet state. So, that was every Polish partition. For now, at least.